All right, welcome back, everybody. We are keeping it moving here on the Now Morning Show. Now, some people find it a little difficult to face Mondays, and they have those Monday blues. But we want to add some motivation to your Mondays. And joining me this morning to help inspire us and to keep us motivated, it's Akosua Dardane Edwards, who is a gender and entrepreneurship specialist and an author as well. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here this morning. And first off, congratulations on all your achievements so far. And the people who are watching are probably wondering what achievements. So let's find out a little more about Akosua. Tell us a little of your background.
Originally, I started off studying accounting, and the plan for me was to eventually become like a finance manager or CFO or something like that, big in finance. And the way fate had it, I was eventually fired from that position.
Really?
Yes. And it really kind of opened my eyes, because to me the plan was as set out by society to go to school,
get a good job.
Get a good job and get your pension and retire.
Right.
And that didn't work out. So I really then had to now regroup and figure out what I wanted to do and what is my purpose. And that took a process, and it eventually led me to working with women and girls in Trinidad and all over the world, using entrepreneurship as empowerment tools, and looking at girls who transition from state care back into society.
State care to society.
Yeah.
So within what circumstances would they have been in to be under state care?
Quite a few different areas. One is when they're beyond control as deemed by the court.
Right.
So if their parents cannot control them, if they are placed in state care because when they are born they have no parents to take care of them. Some of them may be under 18 and on remand, and some of them are just abandoned.
Right.
So it's a mix. And in Trinidad in particular, it's a bit of an issue, because the transition programs and the transition homes are very limited.
Right.
So, I mean, imagine going from looking at numbers, everyday finance, to actually working, looking at impacting lives and seeing how you can do better for your country and for the world. I mean, that's where I am right now.
Right, no, but what made you, so yes, you were in the finance sector and you lost that job, but what made you go in the direction that you chose to go in after that?
Well, for me, I think I was kind of pushed into it, because at that point where I lost all the material things, I thought that I was a failure then, because by society's definition, if you lose things, if you lose material possessions, if you lose a job, etc.
And the title that comes with it and all these things, right?
Yes, you have to justify, well, what happened. And for me at that point, I felt as if the world was coming to an end. It was a failure, and I was actually not taking responsibility for my own choices. And I was kind of blaming Trinidad.
Right.
I was saying, it must be Trinidad's fault, and I ran away from here. And I was able to move to East Africa.
Okay.
And whilst I was there, I was working with 901 women who were rebuilding their community after coming out of a 27-year civil war. And they asked me about Trinidad.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to them what Trinidad is. I mean, I heard you all talking about Carnival before. I talked about that because, of course, that's
a go-to, pretty much.
And they asked me about how do we live in terms of schooling, in terms of healthcare. And I mean, it's not perfect, but when I explained it to them, they said, you have to go back home and honor this place that made you who you are now. You have to find the wars in Trinidad, find the things that need your support and your input, and do that. And that kind of opened my eyes.
Yeah, such a difference in perspective, right?
Exactly. That opened my eyes, and I thought about what could I do? I mean, we always talk about what's not being done.
Right.
Including me, talk about what could be done, what's not being done. But what could I do? And that's one of the things that we have to ask ourselves every day. What could I do in my limited space, in my own time? And I came back home and I didn't really have a clue as to what I should do and how I should start. But in looking at what is needed here, and I realized that a lot of the young ladies come out of these homes and they fall by the wayside.
Right.
The gender-based violence is extremely concerning
and rampant.
And rampant. So what could I do? And that's how I started. I started small. I started with just me going around learning about what's going on in the transition area, and here we are now.
What's one of these success stories of one of the persons that you would have helped transition from state care into being independent? What was one of these success stories that stuck with you?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word success, and one of the things that I learned in this process is we have to define success for ourselves. And the way I defined it is seeing how these young ladies are now becoming independent, critical thinkers and taking responsibility for their lives and saying, you know what, I have a part to play in how I live. So for me, there's two young ladies who are now gainfully employed, living on their own and striving towards defining what success is for themselves. And that may seem small, but a lot of them end up in situations that are abusive. They end up in situations where they make poor choices with relationships, money, you name it. So to see these two young ladies gainfully employed, making better choices about who's around them, about how they spend their time and their money, that for me
that in itself is success. Definitely. It's not the big job or these material things that society says, well, you need to have this to be considered successful. Success, as you said, can be defined by the individual.
And I mean, not knocking the material things. No. I love it. I love things too, but one of the things that I've learned is when you define yourself by what you have, and when those things are gone, you start to question, who am I? And if you can define yourself or say, who am I, without any of those material possessions, it's easier for you to transition into any situation because you know deep down who you are.
Definitely. Okay, so we're almost out of time, but before we go, how do young women who may benefit from the programs that you champion, how can they reach out to you? How can they get more information and get involved?
Okay, so the name of the program is the Nina Young Leadership Program, Young Women's Leadership Program, and you can check on my website, akosua.edwards.com, and you'll get the information there about the Nina program.
All right, wonderful. And again, congratulations on your continued work that's helping to change and better the lives of so many young women here in Trinidad and Tobago and abroad, as well as you have long travel list of places that you've gone to do your work.
Pre-COVID.
Well. Pre-COVID. Right? And congratulations on your 2 books as well. If you want more information, you can check out the website, akosua.edwards.com.
Yes.
And you can get more information as well, and they can reach out to you and get more.
All right. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for being here. All right, that was Akosua Dardane Edwards, who is an gender and entrepreneurship specialist and author. We're going to have so much more on the program when we come back. Stay right where you are. This is the Normal Show.